My mind drifts back to that Christmas Eve so long ago, when nothing in our little home seemed wrong, and nothing in the world outside seemed right.
Do put down your sketch pad for a moment, Amy, and help us finish the tree.
Why isn't Beth helping with the gathering?
Because Beth did most of the decorating before we came home.
I'll be glad to help. Just think of how pleased Marmee will be when she sees it.
I finished it at last, and not a moment too soon, if you ask me.
Joe, where have you been all this time?
Need you ask? Just look at what she's wearing.
Oh, say what you like about my writing hat, but I've just written the closing scene for The Witch's Curse. That was a divine inspiration.
Well, we finished trimming the tree without you.
Christmas won't be the same without presents.
It's dreadful to be poor.
I can remember when we used to be rich.
I remember too. We're better off than so many others, though orphans, for instance. We still have Father and Marmee and each other.
But we don't have Father, and probably won't for quite some time. Who can say how long the war will last?
Many families in the North and South will be missing their men this year.
The army's having a dreadful winter. Supplies are scarce. Marmee's right when she says we shouldn't buy each other presents. We have to make some sacrifices too.
I don't mind most of the sacrifices, but I am tired of remaking these dresses year after year.
None of you suffer the way I do. None of you have to go to school with impertinent girls who label your father just because he's poor.
If you mean libel, say so. And stop talking about labels as if Papa was a pickle jar.
You know what I mean, and you need not be so stereotypical about it. Besides, it's proper to use good words to improve your vocabulary.
Vocabulary? Christopher Columbus, aren't we proper?
Don't, Joe, it's so boyish.
That's why I do it.
I hate rude, unladylike girls.
And I hate affected little chicks.
Birds in their little nest agree.
Really now, you're both to blame. Amy, your prim ways are funny now, but you'll grow up to be an affected little goose if you aren't careful. And as for you, Joe, it's time you stopped your boyish tricks. You turn up your hair now, and you should remember that you're a young lady.
I ain't, and if turning up my hair makes me one, I'll wear it in 2 tails till I'm 20. I don't want to grow up and be Miss March. I won't wear long gowns and be as prim as a porcelain doll. Oh, I just can't get over my disappointment in not being a boy. Look at me, dying to go out and fight in the war with Papa, and all I can do is sit at home and knit like some pokey old woman.
Poor Joe.
Oh, I don't want your pity, because one day I'll be a famous writer and make a fortune writing books. Then I'll live and behave as I please. And Amy, you'll have a dozen of dresses with satin and lace, and Meg will have plenty of handsome beaux to dance with, and a beautiful new piano for my Bethy.
I should like that.
So no more fighting, and let's get to work on our play. Beth, play something gruesome for us. Amy, I wrote a new scene for you. It's wonderful.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's simple. All you have to do is shout, Rodrigo, Rodrigo, save me, then faint.
Rodrigo, Rodrigo, save me, save me. Oh, I can't do that. I won't throw myself around making me all black and blue. And besides, I've already designed my costume, and doing that would crush my paper jewelry and my gold crown.
You don't have any jewelry, and you certainly don't have a crown.
And why not? I'm a princess, am I not?
But you don't know it. You think you are a servant girl for Beth Hagar the witch.
Princess always knows she's a princess.
Well, you don't. Now, you're locked in the tower when suddenly Hugo the villain, enters. You cry out, Rodrigo.
I thought Meg was Don Pedro, my father.
Oh, she is, but you don't know it. I've told you this a dozen of times. You haven't the slightest idea who you are until end of Act 5.
Oh. Meg, no?
Of course.
Well, then I should know too. It's not fair that I'm always the ignorant one.
Amy, because if you know who you are, then the play is over.
Too long anyway.
Please just do the scene. Besides, it's not polite to correct the author.
Yes, and Joe's a regular Shakespeare.
Oh, well, it's nothing, really. All right. Places, everyone. Are you ready? I am Hugo. Here I come with wicked intentions. Aha! I move closer. Aha!
Come and get your tea, girls.
Why can't we have coffee anymore, Hannah?
Because it's scarce and dear. Ships aren't in time of war. They got no time to go off to Brazil and bring back coffee for Miss Amy March. And some folks has got nothing better to do with their time than to pry into other folks' business.
Who is it, Hannah?
That Lawrence boy.
What Lawrence boy?
Mr. Lawrence's grandson. He's to live with.
I didn't know the old fussbud had a grandson.
He just arrived last week. And from what I've heard, he sounds like a fine one.
Why, what's he done?
Well, besides running away from school,
That's the bravest thing I've ever heard.
he was found in an army registration office. He lied about his age and tried to join up. Can you imagine?
I certainly can. I should like to do the same thing.
Fine soldier you'd make.
Joe, don't!
Oh, Joe.
It's our private property. I can look out as much as I'd like.
You're as bad as he is.
There he is!
Amy, Beth, stand back from the window.
Well, I'm certainly glad he's a boy. I should like to get to know a boy and have some fun for a change.
Don't say such
I
things.
wonder how I could get to know him. I know, our cat can get lost, and then he can bring it back.
That doesn't sound very romantic.
Who said anything about romance? Yoo-hoo, hello!
Joe, you're disgracing us.
Hello! That wretched boy. Oh, he went back!
Perhaps now you'll draw the curtains and we can finish rehearsing the play?
I suppose.
Where were we?
Rodrigo, Rodrigo, save me, save me.
Oh, yes. Well, perhaps if you try it like this, or maybe, well, it's just no use. Oh, do the best you can when the time comes. And if the audience boos, don't blame me.
I'm glad to find you so merry, my girl.
Mommy! You didn't come home for supper. You look tired.
You must be tired.
Thank you, girls. Oh, has anyone called today, Bethy? Come and kiss me, baby. Not today, Marmy. Here, put these on. They're nice and warm. Oh, thank you, honey. Why, Joe, you look tired to death.
Oh, I'm all right.
Oh, have you seen Aunt March today?
Not yet, Marmy. How is work with the Ladies' Army Aid Auxiliary today?
Well, we're so short on blankets that we had to start cutting up carpets to send to the men.
I wouldn't mind sleeping under a carpet if I could join up.
Oh, Joe.
Oh, how's your cold, Meg?
Practically gone, Marmy.
Oh, have you seen Mrs. King today?
Yes, I start on Monday. $4 a week, Marmy. The house is so lovely and the children seem so sweet. It won't be like work at all.
I'm so proud of you.
I'll repeat for you, Marmy.
Oh, thank you, baby. Joe, fetch my ridicule. I have a surprise for you.
Surprise for Joe.
Well, a surprise for all of you, really.
It's a letter from
Father, oh, Marmy.
Sent you all a little Christmas message. Now, who could that be?
Oh, from the sound of the pounding, I'd say Aunt March.
Yes, there's her sleigh. I'd like to have a sleigh so I wouldn't have to walk everywhere.
Good evening, Aunt March.
Good evening. Not at all, miss, not at all. It's freezing cold, the dead of winter, and you haven't even shoveled a proper path to the front door. I might have slipped and broken who knows what.
Good.
Well, Merry Christmas.
Merry
Christmas,
Christmas,
Aunt
Aunt March. So nice of you to visit us tonight, Auntie.
Yes, come in by the fire.
Thank you. No, I have a fire at home, where I should be this very minute. I only stopped by to bring you these. Meg,
Thank you, Aunt March.
Joe,
Thank you, Aunt March.
Amy,
Thank you, Aunt March.
and Beth. Goodness gracious, where is the child?
Here I am, Aunt March.
For pity's sake, stop skulking about like that. I don't like people sneaking around. Come into the open, I always say.
Thank you, Aunt March.
Far be it from me to complain, but when I was a girl, I used to make a special point of going to my aunts' homes to wish them a Merry Christmas. Not t'other way around. I didn't force them to leave the comfort of their sitting rooms to travel halfway around the town to come visit me. See that you spend it wisely.
The girls and I had been planning to visit you tomorrow, Auntie.
Tomorrow? Well, we don't know if there'll be a tomorrow now, do we? Have you heard from that foolish father of yours, waltzing off to war and leaving others to take care of his family? Doesn't he realize Lincoln needs fighters in this war, not worn-out preachers like himself?
Oh, we're very proud of Father, and you should be too.
Joe.
And we don't need anyone to take care of us.
My, aren't we hoity-toity.
Some tea, Aunt March?
No, if your father had listened to me, you'd all be better off today. I begged him not to invest in that swindler. I took one look at him and knew he'd swipe the pennies off a dead man's eye. But your father believes he sees good in every shiftless ne'er-do-well he shakes hands with.
Well, that's all in the past, Auntie, and
Besides, it was our money that got lost, and it hasn't got anything to do with you.
Don't be impertinent with me, Missy. It's a waste of time talking to you, Miss Josephine March. You're as pig-headed as your father, and you have much common sense as a dizzy cow. It's no use talking to the lot of you. No one listens to my good advice like talking to a flock of geese. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Aunt March.
Aunt March, wait.
How do you plan to try my patience now, Miss Impertinence?
It's just that I'd like to apologize for my outburst, and I'm willing to bury the hatchet if you are. So, what do you say?
Amy, where are you going?
I'm trying to hear what she's saying, Aunt March.
Amy.
So, Aunt March, if the position is still open, I'd like to be your personal companion.
You certainly are a trial, Miss Josephine March. Still, I suppose the devil you know is better than the one you don't. You may come around the house after the holidays if it suits you.
Oh, thank you, Aunt March. You won't be sorry.
Merry Christmas, Josephine.
Well, it's all settled.
What is, Joe?
I'm Aunt March's new paid companion.
Oh,
I'll read her books, keep her company, and make pleasant conversation.
pleasant conversation?
When do you begin, dear?
After the holidays.
Can we open our envelopes now, Marmee?
Oh, yes, Amy.
Mommy, a whole $1. I can buy a new book. Maybe The Black Avenger.
How I love a new bonnet with ribbons and lace and a long feather.
I can get a new set of favorite drawing pencils and a new sketch pad.
What will you buy, Bethy? I should like some new sheet music. Sounds lovely.
Can we go to the store now, Marmee, before it closes?
Well, I suppose, Amy, yeah.
But what about Father's letter?
Oh, yes, our letter.
First, our letter from Father.
To my loving wife, give my girls a kiss and tell them I think of them by day, pray for them at night, and find my best comfort in their affections at all times. I know that they will remember all I've said, that they will be loving children to you, and work diligently, so that these hard times need not be wasted. I know they will fight their bosom enemies bravely, and conquer themselves so beautifully, that when I come back to them, I may be fonder and prouder than ever of my little women.
Ma'am,
Yes, Hannah?
sorry to disturb you, ma'am, but it's a message from Mrs. Hummel. Wants to know if you can come right away.
Oh, yes, Hannah, of course. Amy, will you get my boots? Oh, and my wrap, Joe. Good night, my girls. Don't wait up for me because I may be late. God bless us and keep us all.
Marmee ought to have a new pair of slippers. I can make do with the music I have.
No, I'm the man of the house while Father's gone. I'll provide the slippers.
Well, Beth thought of it first.
Fine, then I'll buy her a new pair of shoes.
Gloves. A fine pair of pink gloves. Maybe kid.
I can get her a bottle of cologne, but a small bottle, so I can still afford my drawing pencils.
But Joe, won't the stores be closed by now?
Oh, then we'll storm the Citadel. They'll have to open up for us. Come on!
Storming the Citadel.
Oh, we better hurry. It's already so late.
Oh, Joe.
Amy. Should we end
Oh, deck the halls with boughs of holly. Fa la 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 la.
Christmas was a time for presents once more. Presents for our Marmee. Christmas Eve was a flurry of excitement, and we could hardly rest till Christmas morn, when we would share our special gifts.
Christopher Columbus!
Candy pies!
And everything.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Hannah.
The table looks beautiful, Hannah.
Heavens, don't know what all the fuss is about. I remember back when I made you folks a breakfast like this every morning.
We must have been enormously rich. How was I dressed back then?
In diapers.
Isn't Marmee up yet?
Oh yes, up and out.
On Christmas morning, where is she?
At the Hummels. Poor Mrs. Hummel had her baby early this morning.
Hummels have another baby?
One baby after another, 6 children, half frozen, all huddled together in one bed and no fire. All skin and bones they are. So your mother took her breakfast over there. Now I believe in charity just as much as the next person, but we haven't got anything to spare.
Well, didn't she see your presents?
Yes, she did, and right pleased with them she was. So she said for you to have your breakfast and go straight onto church. She'll meet you there.
What's the matter, Beth?
I don't feel hungry anymore.
Beth, dear, people are starving everywhere every day. If you let that bother you, you'll never eat again.
I try to think about it.
Well, we don't know those people, but we do know the Hummels. We passed their house on the way to church.
Oh, Joe, what are you saying? You're not thinking of giving our breakfast to the Hummels, are you? You wouldn't do a thing like that, would you?
I could.
So could I.
Well, it's all or none.
And I don't insist none of us is an option. Well, fine, but I insist on a secret vote.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Fine. Aye.
Good. It's decided then. Let's bundle up.
What's going on then?
Grab your wrap, Hannah. We're off to church with just one step along the way.
Land sakes, is my whole breakfast going off to the Hummels then?
The whole breakfast, Hannah.
I suppose I could spare a cord of wood too.
Oh, Hannah, you're an angel.
Oh, Amy. Ugh. Stop. Whoa, pick it up. Give me now. Ugh. Tiny.
Tiny, yeah. Call me tiny all you want. I could beat you.
I bet you couldn't.
Oh,
Your
really?
legs are so short.
$5.
Ugh.
I don't have $5.
Ugh. Oh, Amy. I'll carry the popovers. You can take the milk.
I can manage just perfectly.
I'm sure you can. That's why you're taking the milk. We want to have something left over for the Hummels. Ugh.
Excuse me, miss? I believe you dropped this.
Why, thank you.
Come along, Josephine.
Say, you're that Lawrence boy who lives next door, aren't you?
Yes, I'm Theodore Lawrence, and this is John Brooke, my tutor.
Well, how do you do?
How do you do?
And how do you do?
How do you do?
I'm Joe March, and that's Meg March, and the other 3 up the road are Amy, Beth, and Hannah. Merry Christmas to you both.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you.
We've heard all about you, how you ran away from school and tried to join up. I think it's just flummy.
Josephine, we should be going.
I've seen you watching us from your window, and I was...
Well, I didn't mean to be rude, but it's so true like grandfather stole us a tomb, to be frank. And your home always looks so interesting, like a picture. When your lamps are lit and you gather around your mother.
Where's your mother?
She died in Europe shortly after my father's death.
I'm so very sorry. I give you leave to watch us anytime you like, and come over and join the picture if you feel like it.
I couldn't. Grandfather would say I was imposing.
Bilgewater. Theodore Lawrence, you are officially invited to call the march home whenever you please.
Thank you. I will.
Josephine, please.
Honestly, Meg, let's go. Well, goodbye.
For now.
For now.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Miss March.
Josephine March, what will they think of us now, stopping to talk in the street like that without being properly introduced?
Oh, I don't care, and I bet they don't care either. Besides, you weren't very polite. You're getting as prissy as Amy. It wouldn't hurt you to say hello.
Not after the way that man stared at me.
What man? Oh, you mean Mr. Brooke? I hadn't noticed.
Well, I did. Oh my.
What is it?
Still looking.
Who?
Mr. Brooke. Don't look.
Who, me?
And so ended the first brief encounter with one who would become one of the truest friends our little family would ever know. But as winter began to melt away into spring, I wondered if my invitation to call on us would ever be taken up by young Mr. Lawrence.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Theodore Lawrence calling on Miss Josephine March.
Joe, you've got company. Right this way. Mr. Lawrence.
Please, call me Laurie. Everyone else does.
All right, Lori then.
I expect to be wanting some tea,
Yes, Hannah, that would be lovely.
just as I thought.
Now, do tell me all about yourself before you arrived here in Concord, Mr. Lorry.
Well, I used to live in Europe before my parents.
Oh, Europe, how exciting! I'm going there too, you know.
Really? When?
Oh, I don't really know, but my Aunt March, what a crotchety old thing she is, has rheumatism, and did I tell you I work as her companion? Anyway, the doctor said the baths in Europe might do her some good. Oh, did you go to the baths? I mean, for rheumatism?
I don't have rheumatism.
Of course not. Neither have I. But I figured the baths couldn't do you any harm. What do you think?
Here we are.
Thank you, Hannah.
This one will talk an ear off a stalk of corn if given half a chance.
I don't mind a bit. I like talking.
I hope so, for your sake. Enjoy and call if you need anything.
Thank you, Hannah. Anyway, I really want to go to Europe for my writing. Travel is so important for a writer. What did you say?
I didn't say a thing.
Oh, well, how are you getting along with your grandfather?
Oh, fine, I suppose. It's just that.
I know, you should have seen him before you came.
Really? Isn't he holy terror?
You ought to meet my Aunt March. Oh, pop over.
Please, it almost looks good to eat.
Meg made it.
Is she the oldest? Brooke and I were wondering.
Why should he wonder about her?
He seems rather taken with her. Surely you noticed. Does she like anyone in particular?
So he sent you to find out for him. Well, you can tell him we don't like anyone in this house. I mean, we like many different people in this house, but we don't like young men. Well, I mean, we do like young men, but we don't like young men who wonder about who we like. Meg is just too young and too smart to wonder about who wonders about her.
Perhaps I better go.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be out of sorts. Oh, dear, oh, no, so clumsy of me. Do you really want to go?
No, not really. It's just so dull over there. And over here, everything seems so lively.
I'm glad you like it here.
Oh, I was hoping if I could be one of your plays sometime. Would that be alright?
I'll say I'd love to have someone else play the villain for a change. I'm wearing that mustache. Makes me sneeze.
Oh, I know how to fence too.
Really?
Well,
Will these work?
yes. On God.
On God. A hit, what say you?
A touch, I do confess. On God.
On God.
Put your ball here. Someone at the door. Mrs. March! Mrs. March!
Yes, Hannah, what is it?
It's one of those telegraph things.
It's father.
Oh, Marmee, no.
He's at the hospital in Washington. I must go at once.
I can ask grandfather for the carriage to take you to the station.
We'll need fare for the train and expenses, but we don't have enough in our savings to pay for those things.
I'll go ask Aunt March.
Quickly, girls, we'll help your mother pack.
The next few hours were spent preparing Marmee for her journey. I set out for Aunt March's house on my self-appointed mission. I thought a request to help Marmee get to father would be an unpleasant but simple task. I never imagined how my journey would end.
There now, I think that's everything. And don't forget these.
The carriage is waiting outside, and my grandfather sent along a bottle of port for Mr. March.
Thank you, Lori, and give my kindest regards to your grandfather. Beth, place this carefully in my traveling satchel.
Yes, Marmee.
Careful not to shake it.
Where is she? Where is she? Where's that foul-tempered daughter of yours?
I thought she was with you, Aunt March.
Not very likely. Not after her visit. Here, take this. Lord knows you'll need more than you asked for. One can only guess what you'll find once you get there.
Thank you, Auntie.
Oh, pish, posh, and twaddle. You're too sentimental, you are. Now, you know how to get there. You change trains in New York. Horrid, horrid city. And then you
I don't believe that will be necessary, ma'am. You see, Mr. Lawrence has already asked me to accompany Mrs. March on the train so that she gets to Washington safely.
Thank you, Mr. Brooke, but really, there's no need.
It would be my pleasure to be of service to you and your family, Mrs. March. Besides, Mr. Lawrence has already engaged some work for me to do for him while I'm there. So you see,
But you're all terribly kind. Thank you. Thank you all so much.
then with your permission, I will load your luggage for you and we will wait outside for you in the carriage.
Thank you, Mr. Brooke.
I want to apologize for being less than neighborly in the past. You've been very kind, Mr. Brooke. You don't know what a relief it is to know that Marmee has someone to look after her.
Thank you, Miss March. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I wonder what on earth is keeping that child.
At least finish your tea while you're waiting, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Hannah. Bethy, dear, see that you don't forget the Hummels while I'm away.
No, Marmee, I won't. I promise.
Well, someone might remember me too for a change. Well, I hope everything turns out for the best, but I doubt it.
Goodbye, Aunt March.
Aunt March! Here I am, miss, and no thanks to you. I had to get up, get dressed, and ride over here all by myself because you're so stubborn. Well, you certainly didn't get that from my side of the family. Good afternoon, Miss Josephine March.
Joe, where on earth have you been? Marmee was worried sick. We all were.
Oh, I went to Aunt March and she croaked like she always does when someone asked her to open up her purse. And, well, I just couldn't stand it. There he is, her own nephew, sick in the hospital, and all she can do is complain about money. Well, I lost my temper. And here's my contribution.
$25? Where on earth did you get it, Joe?
Came by it honestly. Only sold what belonged to me.
Joe, you're here.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Well, goodness gracious, it doesn't affect the State of the Union. I just happened by the wig maker shop and saw some tails of hair in the window with price tags on them. And so I thought it might do me some good to have my mop cut off too. So I did.
Thank you, Joe.
Mrs. Marsh, we'll need to hurry now. If Christopher Columbus, what happened? You look like a porcupine. Sorry.
Oh, I'm all right.
It will grow back and be just as beautiful as before, but you'll never be more beautiful to me than you are right now.
I like it.
It will be easy to keep up.
It's strangely becoming.
We need to hurry, Mrs. March.
Oh, yes, you can't miss your train.
Yes, you're right.
Can we go with you, Marmee?
I'm afraid not. You guys need to stay here and carry on as usual. Remember to comfort one another, and Meg, be sure to watch over your sisters. Try to be more patient, Joe, and Bethy, dear, don't forget the Hummels.
I won't, Marmee. I promise.
Amy, try to be obedient. Goodbye, my darlings. I'll keep this picture of you in my mind. God bless us and keep us all.
Oh, Joe, you're crying.
No, I'm not. I'm fine.
It'll be all right, dear. Marmee has Mr. Brooke to help her, and Father's a strong man, I'm sure.
I'm not crying because of that.
What is it then?
My hair!
Father's convalescence in that Washington hospital lasted many months, and life in our little home soon found a simple domestic pattern in Marmee's absence. Our friendship with Laurie continued to grow, and surprising support and neighborly friendship of his grandfather was a boon to all our spirits. I had worked furiously at my scribbling during that summer, and had begun sending off some of my manuscripts to publishers. Then an important letter arrived for me that fall.
You'll never get it from me!
Joe?
No! No! Laurie!
Now I'll find out what you've been up to with your scribbling lately. Is this why you haven't had any time for me lately?
Return it now, Mr. Lawrence, or never speak to me again.
Oh, fine. Just like a girl. First you say we aren't gonna have any secrets, then this.
Well, this is different.
It's still a secret.
No.
Well, you can keep yours, because I've got one too.
Oh, Bilgewater.
And it's plummy.
Very?
Very.
Oh, fine. If that's the game you're going to play, you tell me yours and I'll tell you mine. Oh, fine. Read it yourself.
Pay to the order of Miss Josephine March. $1 for her story entitled The Phantom Hen.
Well, what do you think of that?
$1?
Oh, go on, laugh, but that's just the start. Someday I'll get as high as 10.
I swear I never understand you, Joe. Cooped out in the attic, writing away, every spare minute, missing all the fun we could be having. And for what? A measly $1? Joe, if it's money you want, I got plenty of it.
It's not the money, not really. It's a feeling I get, a strange nervous feeling on the inside. It's my story, and soon it will be in print. People will read it, something that I wrote.
Well, I don't understand you, but if it makes you happy, I suppose.
All right now, play fair Teddy. What's your secret?
I know where Meg's missing glove is.
It's not all.
Ask me where it is.
Well, where is it?
Brooke has it.
How do you know?
Saw it.
Where?
In his pocket. He found it the night they danced together at grandfather's party. Isn't that romantic?
No, it's rubbish.
I thought you'd be pleased.
Oh, pleased at the thought of someone taking Meg away? Why do things always have to change just when they seem perfect? Meg used to share everything with me. Now she keeps to herself and thinks that John is a lovely name and brown eyes are beautiful. Well, I think it's sickly, sentimental, romantic rubbish, and he'd better not try to break our family up.
You will feel different when someone comes to take you away.
I'd like to see someone try it. I'll die an old spinster rowing in my own canoe before I let any man catch me.
I will catch you, Josephine March.
Never! Open the door. Out of the way! You'll never get me, Laurie!
Hey!
Good afternoon, Miss Josephine. Good afternoon, Master Theodore.
Thank you for your assistance this afternoon, John.
My pleasure.
Goodbye, Mr. Brooke.
Yes, well, goodbye, John.
Yes, goodbye, Meg.
I have never been so embarrassed in all my days. When are you going to stop behaving like a child?
Not until I'm old and stiff and need a crutch. Don't try to make me grow up before my time, Meg. It's hard enough having you change all of a sudden. Let me be a little girl for as long as I can.
I haven't changed a bit, but it's time you stopped your romping ways. Just look at you. No hairpins, no combs, running down a public road like a loose horse.
I wish I were a horse.
You're such a child.
Well, goodbye, I suppose. Joe, why are you mad at me?
Hannah, where's Hannah?
Beth, what's the matter?
No, Joe, don't come near me. I feel so tired. Please, get Hannah.
Hannah, come quickly.
Here, Bethy, why don't you come in?
No, Meg, don't come near me. I feel so strange. Joe, the little Hummel baby died. She died in my lap.
Oh, my poor Bethy.
She was lying so still, and suddenly she gave a cry and trembled, and then lay very still. And then I knew she was dead.
It's not your fault.
I tried to warm her feet, but she lay so still.
It's not your fault.
I didn't know. The doctor came. He said it was scarlet fever.
Oh, Beth.
Well, why don't you go over and lie down?
No, Amy, don't come near me. I feel so strange, and
Joe, help me get over to room.
I'm fine.
Really? Of course, Bethy. Of course you will.
Meg, run and get Dr. Bangs.
Yes, Hannah, right away.
And you, miss, are to stay clear of things down here. We'll have to send you off to your Aunt March for a spell for your own good.
I won't. I would rather die of scarlet fever than go stay with Aunt March.
For heaven's sake, be quiet for once in your life.
You should be off as soon as you can. Scarlet fever's no joke, miss.
But it's still at Aunt March's, and she's cross.
It's to keep you well. I'll tell you what. I have a plan. I'll pop up every day to tell you how Beth is.
Will you take me out driving?
Every single day. On my honor.
And you'll bring me back the minute that Beth is well.
The identical minute.
All right then.
There's a good girl.
The days dragged out slowly into weeks. Meg and Hannah and I kept a constant vigil near Beth's bedside. We sensed the slightest change in her person. Amy's notes arrived daily, but nothing could relieve our anxiety and sorrow as we began to sense just how fragile Beth's hold on life had become.
Hannah? Oh, don't get up. I just came to see how Beth is doing today.
That's great. I expected the fever to break by now. I'm afraid we'll have to send for Mrs. March as soon as Meg returns.
Oh, Hannah.
The children sent me the telegram a weeks ago. I was afraid of fretting her just yet. Now the doctor said the end may be very close. And Miss Beth seems weaker every moment.
Hannah?
Yes, miss.
Joe.
She doesn't even recognize us. How I wish Marmee were here. She'd know what to do.
Joe, you can hold on to me. I'll be strong for you.
But only I'd sent that telegram.
Joe, Marmee will be here soon.
No, how could she be? There isn't time.
I got fidgety, and so did my grandfather. So we sent Brooke back to fetch her. She'll be here on the 5 o'clock train.
Marmee? Here, in a few hours?
Yes, Joe.
Oh, Laurie, dear Laurie. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to flight you like that, but, well, I didn't know any other way to say thank you.
Well, fly me again. I rather liked it.
No, thank you. I'll do it by proxy when your grandfather comes. Oh, Laurie, if life is as hard as this, I don't think I'll ever get through it.
It's going to be okay. It's just gonna be like the old days. Games and have fun. You'll see.
I hope so, Laurie. I truly do.
Well, now I'm off to the station, and I shan't spare the horses.
Thank you, Laurie. Thank you. Please, Lord, if you must take Bethy, please wait until Marmee gets home. But please, Lord, please don't take her, because please don't.
Yes, exactly as you say, Dr. Bangs. The fever's broken.
Oh, thank heaven.
He said she's starting to pull through now.
Oh, Hannah, I don't think I'll ever complain about another thing for as long as I live.
We're to give her lots of warm milk for strength as soon as she's able, and we'll have her well on the road to recovery and a slap and a bang, miss.
Oh, Hannah, you truly are an angel. And what about Amy?
Sent for her as soon as the doctor said, and Beth is resting now.
Yes, I'll have her old linen stripped and fresh ones on in just a few minutes.
We're to have plenty of warm milk for her.
Yes, Hannah. Marmee!
She's going to be all right. The doctor said she's going to get well.
Oh, everything will be all right now. Oh, Marmee, you're home.
Bethy? Oh, Marmee, I thought you're so beautiful. Oh, Bethy. Has Amy been sent for?
Oh, I think so.
Straight away. Amy!
Well, I came straight away, just as your note said. Where's Beth? Is she...
Marmee. She's gonna recover. Our Bethy's gonna recover.
Beth, you have no idea how I thought of you. I worried about you day and night, and I even wrote a will.
Oh, Will?
Well, of course, just in case I got sick too. You shouldn't laugh. Besides, I left you my bronze inkstand, my plaster rabbit, and my sketch pad.
Well, that's very thoughtful of you.
Well, yes, but since I didn't die, nobody gets anything.
Pardon Amy, is this the March home?
It is indeed.
Then I have a very special delivery for you.
Father, home!
Meg. Amy.
I kept the house in tip-top shape while you were away.
Joe. Now, my dear Bethy.
Father. Well, this is Plummy, just Plummy. The March family is all together again. I call this splendid. Really, I do.
As the years passed, Father and Beth gradually regained much of their old strength. Yet Bethy seemed more fragile than before, and all but Father acknowledged this. The bonds of friendship with our neighbors, the Lawrences, grew even stronger, until Laurie seemed almost one of the family. One member of the Lawrence household seemed truly bent on joining our little family. More disturbing still was the fact that Meg seemed all too willing to oblige his little whim.
What are you doing?
Writing?
Well, I can see that. I meant, what are you working on?
I'm not sure, but it looks like it may very well become a tragedy, depending on what the heroine, decides.
Well, do keep me posted.
I'll do my best.
Will you be using this room much longer?
Why? Are you expecting someone?
Of course not.
Oh, you are! You're expecting that man, aren't you?
Don't be foolish. And if you happen to be referring to Mr. Brooke.
I knew it! You think you're in love with him, don't you?
Well, I had.
Well, I can tell you right now, you're not.
I'm not?
Of course not. I'm a writer, and I write about girls who are in love all the time. So I can tell you, you have none of the signs. You sleep fine, you eat well, and you're never depressed. Clearly, you are not in love. So there's no need for you to go off and do anything foolish like marrying that man.
I don't intend to marry any man.
You don't? Well, cheers for you, Meg March.
Well, now.
Oh, what are you going to tell him? You should decide what you're going to say, because it wouldn't be polite to just send him packing.
Well, I've no intention of being rude. Oh, really? This is so silly. Who says he'll ask for my hand at all? All right. If he does, I will just say to him, quite calmly and politely, I'm afraid I'll have to agree with Marmee. I'm too young to enter into an engagement right now. But thank you, Mr. Brooke. You are most kind, and I hope we can continue to be good friends. How's that?
Good and stiff. That should throw him off the track. Just hand him his walking paper, and things can get back to normal around here.
It's him, Joe. I just know it.
Okay, I'll clear out of the way. Just don't forget. Cool and stiff. How I'd love to see his face. Mr. Brooke, Meg is in the sitting room. She's been expecting you.
Oh, really? Well, I'd only stopped by because I'd forgotten my umbrella. And I thought I might speak with your father, too.
He's in the coat rack. I mean, it's reading the paper. I'll go tell him you're here.
Is something the matter, Meg? Have I upset you somehow? Please don't be angry with me.
How could I be? You've been so kind to our family. I only wish I could find some way to thank you properly.
Shall I tell you how?
Please don't.
Meg, listen to me. I love you, and even if you don't love me now, perhaps in time you might learn.
I don't choose to learn. Please go away and leave me alone.
Won't you think about it? I'll wait.
I wish you wouldn't. Now, please.
Meg,
What's going on here?
He's just a friend of Father's. I'm so surprised to see you.
That's evident. There's mischief going on, and I insist on knowing what it is.
Mr. Brooke just came for his umbrella, you see.
Brooke, that boy's tutor? Ah, I see it all now. He's proposed, hasn't he?
Please, he'll hear you. Shall I call Father?
Have you accepted him? Do you intend to marry this cook?
Please.
Not until I speak my mind. Now, if you marry this hook or rook or crook, not a penny of my money goes to you.
I shall marry whom I please, Aunt March, and you can leave your money to anyone you please.
Now, be a reasonable girl. It's your duty to marry a rich man and help your family. You can be sure this hook fellow knows you have a rich relation, me, and that's why he wants to marry you.
How dare you say such a thing? Why, my John would no more marry for money than I would.
Highty-tighty, aren't we, Miss Independence? Well, you'll be sorry for it when you've tried to live in a cottage and find it a failure.
It can't be worse than what one finds in a big, empty house.
Well, I never. Well, you do as you please. You see where my good advice gets me. But remember, the day you marry him is the day I disinherit you. Now, well, you've made me forget what I came here for, Miss Indolence. I wash my hands of you, the lot of you.
I couldn't help but hear, Meg. Thanks for defending me, and thanks to Aunt March for proving that you do care for me a little bit.
I didn't know how much until she said all the dreadful things.
Will you wait for me?
Marmy, come downstairs quick! John Brooke is acting dreadfully, and Meg likes it!
Soon summer was upon us, and sooner still was John and Meg's wedding day. Our lives were so full with preparations and plans for the wedding day that we scarcely had time to think about the void that would be left in our little house on the day of Meg's departure. But that day came at last, and with it those same feelings of joy and loss that attend the members at most weddings.
Joe, come back. The celebration has just begun. Oh, don't cry, Joe. Don't cry.
Oh, Lori, our family will never be the same again.
You still have me, Joe.
I know, Teddy. You don't know how much I appreciate that. My dear, dear boy. Now then, I've had my silly scene, and we should return to the party before we're missed.
Not just yet, please, Joe. There's something I need to ask you.
No, Teddy, please don't.
Yes, I will. And this time, you must listen. The sooner, the better for both of us.
Say what you like then. I'll listen.
I've loved you, Joe. Ever since I've known you, I've only loved you, Joe. Couldn't help it. I've tried to tell you, but you wouldn't let me. This time, I'm going to make you hear and give me an answer.
I wanted to save you this. I never wanted you to care for me this way. I tried to keep it from you when I could.
I've only loved you all the more for it. I've tried to tell you, well, ever since I came back from college.
I know.
I know I'm not half good enough. But if you love me, you can make me into anything you like.
I wouldn't change you, Lori, not for the world. It's you who need to change me. You should marry someone lovely and accomplished who'll adore you and grace your fine house. I couldn't. I loathe the social whirl and you like it. You hate my scribbling and I couldn't get on without it. In the end, we just quarrel and...
No, we...
Yes, we always have. It would be horrid if we were ever foolish enough
To marry? No, Joe. It could be heaven if we could take a chance. Please, Joe, everyone expects it. My grandpa has his heart on it. And your family, too. I just can't go on without you. Joe, please say you will. Marry me.
I can't. Oh, Lori, I'm sorry. I'm trying to love you the way you want because I am so proud and fond of you. And I do love you. I love you so dearly as a friend. But I can never love you as a wife. It'd be a lie to say I do when I don't.
Really and truly, Joe?
Really and truly. I don't believe I shall ever marry. I love my liberty too well to give it up for any man.
Yes, you will. I know you. It's your way, Joe. You'll miss some no account, good for nothing idiot, and fell in love. You're gonna work and live and die for him while I have to stand and see it all. Well, I'll be hanged if I do.
Lori, come back! Wait! Where are you going?
What do you care? Someday you'll be sorry, Josephine March.
Why, Joe, why have you left
yourself away like this? You were missed. Meg and John want you there to see them off on their honeymoon.
Sorry, Marmee. I just felt tired and I needed to be alone for a while.
Well, all right then.
Marmee, what sort of plans do you have for us?
Plans, dear?
Well, yes. You know how some mothers have plans for their daughters, wanting them to marry rich men or something? You asked me the other day what my wishes were, and, well, I'll tell you as soon as I've heard what you want.
Well, I suppose I wish for a good many things. No different from anyone else. I want my children to be admired and respected and loved. I want you to lead good and useful lives. I pray life sends you as little sorrow as possible. But of course I'm ambitious for you, like any other mother. I'd be happy to see you marry a rich man if you loved him. But I'd rather see you happy a poor man's wife or a spinster than watch you lose your self-respect and happiness in a loveless marriage, even if that marriage made you queen of the world.
Oh, thank you, Marmee, thank you!
What's this?
I knew I chose right. I'm never getting married, ever.
Oh, really, dear?
No. Now I'll tell you what I want. I want to go away.
What? Why, Joe?
I've thought about it a while, and I want something new. I'm restless, and I need to be out seeing and doing. I want to hop my little ways and try my wings.
And where do you intend to hop?
New York!
Joe.
Oh, but Amy can take care of March now. They're more compatible anyhow. You have Beth here to help you, and, well, I thought I might go work at Mrs. Kirk's. She's looking for someone to take care of the children, and with so much to see and hear, I get lots of new ideas for my stories.
Joe, dear, be sure that you're running to something, and not away from something. Or someone. Is it Lori?
Oh, Marmee, he's gotten this romantic rubbish into his head, and I thought it would all blow over by now, but it's only gotten worse.
But how do you feel about it?
I love him dearly, as a friend. So, I think if I go away for a while, he'll get over it, and one day things can go back to the way they were. I just know I don't want to make a mistake.
I think you may be right, Joe. This may be best for both of you. I'll write to Mrs. Kirk, and if Father agrees it can be managed, you shall go.
Oh, thank you, Marmee.
Now come along, dear. Let's go see Meg and John off on their honeymoon.
Working at Mrs. Kirk's boarding house was one of the most exhausting and exhilarating experiences that I have known. New York flooded my mind with new sights and new friends, the most important of whom Professor Fritz Baer. I shared so many thoughts and ideas similar to my own that I felt I had found a true kindred spirit. However, in the midst of my newfound fortunes, fate was going to spring a rude surprise, which was the consequence of my abominable tongue.
Good afternoon, Mrs. March. I'll show you right in.
Show yourself in, and don't bother to announce me. The most remarkably slow woman I've ever had the misfortune to meet. Good afternoon.
Good
afternoon, Aunt March.
I expect you'll be wanting a spot of tea then.
Good gracious, no. I've completed my business here, driven to town, and finished my afternoon calls before you could capably warm up a pot.
Very good, ma'am.
Well now, to the point. I'm going abroad next month to Europe, and as I've discussed in the past, I shall require a proper traveling companion.
We shall wire for Joe immediately, Auntie.
Joe? Oh, heavens no. I said proper traveling companion. That one's got such a blunt disposition, she'd put a freeze on foreign relations for the next decade. Heavens no. But Auntie, no arguments, please. I'm quite decided about this. Amy shall accompany me. We're more similar in temperament. Amy is docile and respectful and will receive this opportunity graciously and without a sense of entitlement.
Auntie,
Hush, child. Any excuses would be stuff and nonsense. My mind is made up. Besides, it is time you had your chance to try out your talents. Rome will be just the place for her to study your art.
We don't know how to thank you, Auntie.
This will be an exceptional opportunity.
Oh, pish-posh.
thank you, Auntie.
Nonsense, nonsense, my dear. Well, I'm off to town to begin our preparations. You'll call on me tomorrow, child, so we can begin arrangements for your traveling wardrobe.
Good afternoon, Auntie.
Good afternoon, Auntie, and thank you again.
Europe will do a world of good, child. A world of good.
Marmee.
Poor Joe.
Aunt March is quite decided. It'd be wrong for us to try and change her wishes. I'm afraid there's no one doing things for Joe this time.
She'll be so dreadfully disappointed. How'll I ever explain this to her?
Let's not ruin your good fortune right now with those concerns. Joe will have her reward someday, and it'll be every bit as marvelous, as unexpected as yours.
Yes. You could stop in New York before you set sail and see her personally if you'd like.
Yes, Marmee, that would be a comfort.
I hate to be selfish, but I'm glad Joe isn't traveling quite so far from us just yet. It's hard enough to bear with her off in New York.
Yes, dear, I know.
Well, that's enough conversation for now. We have some preparations to begin.
Amy's visit was a comfort for us both. Her gentle ways and thoughtful words did much to ease the pain of losing my long-anticipated European tour. Aunt March informed me that Laurie and Mr. Lawrence had also booked passage to the continent. However, during those long days before they set sail, no calling card from my dear Teddy ever arrived. Laurie's intended slight wounded me every bit as deeply as he had hoped, but no experience in my early life had prepared me for the telegram I received several months later. So it was with a strange mix of emotions that I returned home to Concord after receiving that urgent message.
Has Joe arrived yet?
No, child. Your father took the carriage to meet them at the station.
Is there anything we can do to help you right now?
Land's sakes, no. There's little enough for me to do now as it is.
The house has been so empty with Joe gone, and now with Amy off.
Oh, has the telegram been sent?
Straight away. Same day as Miss Josephine's. Amy's answer seemed to come back as soon as she received it. Already headed back she was. But your parents wouldn't allow it. Too long and costly a trip. And it wouldn't be fair to Aunt March, as though that Biddy ever worried about anyone but herself.
Poor dear.
She must be heartsick.
That she is. But Mr. Lawrence sent word that him and Laurie would be meeting them in Nice, and they would do their best to keep her mind off things.
Well, I'm sure they will, and Laurie's such a comfort. Joe! Joe, you're here at last!
Meg, Hannah.
I'll get your luggage for you.
So empty without you.
Put the kettle on, Hannah. I'll fetch Marmee and Beth.
Oh, Father. I feel so alone. There must be something we can do.
Nothing, Joe. It's just a matter of time now. I'm afraid the most important thing is for us to be brave for her sake. They're there.
I know, Father. I'll be strong for Bethy.
I know you will. I never doubt you for a moment, my brave, dear girl.
Thank you, Father. Marmee, Bethy.
Joe, dear, you're home. So good to have you home again.
Oh, my Beth, how I've missed you.
Oh, Joe, here you are, just like I've dreamed. If Amy were here, we could all be together again.
Beth.
I'm sorry to interrupt. But...
Yes, John, we must be getting back to the twins now. I'll bring them round in the morning for a visit if you'd like.
Oh, yes, I'm so eager to see them.
Until tomorrow, then.
Goodbye.
Farewell.
Goodbye. Well, now, Beth, I've got so much to tell you, I hardly know where to begin.
Well, we'll leave you two to your catching up then.
Yes. Good night, Bethy.
Marmee.
Good night, Joe.
Good night, Father.
Good night, Joe.
Good night,
Good night,
Father.
Beth.
Well then, presents first.
Oh, Joe.
There you are.
You're so thoughtful.
Well, wind it up. I thought it could accompany you while you play, since you haven't had me to croak along with you lately.
Oh, I don't play anymore.
Oh, I almost forgot to tell you what I've been working on. A book.
A whole novel?
Yep.
May I read it?
I actually don't have it on hand right now. You see, I finished it right before I left.
When will it be published?
Oh, who knows when? I didn't leave it with the publisher. I left it with Professor Bear.
You must be very fond of him.
I am. You see, he's the reason why I wrote the book. He told me it was time to write about the people and places I know, instead of a bunch of made-up people and places I've never seen.
Did you?
Yes, Bethy, I did.
When will it be published?
Oh,
What is-
Betty, it's okay.
What's it about?
You, Bethy. I mean, well, all of us, really. Right here. Our family and all the happy times we used to share.
It's all right, Joe. You don't have to cry.
I'm not crying, not really. Just so lonesome. Lonesome for Meg and Amy and all our old times together.
It's all right, Joe. You don't have to be brave for me. I know. Don't tell Father and Marmee, but I know. I haven't wanted to tell anyone but you, my Joe. But I can feel myself slip a little each day, like the tide going out.
Don't say it, please, Bethy.
Doesn't that sound funny? Me telling you, me, the cricket by the hearth, always content staying safely at home, while you, Meg, and Amy dream of flying away. But I suppose it's my turn to fly away first this time. I'm sorry, Joe. Sorry I can't express myself properly.
Oh, Bethy.
But I suppose I was never intended to live very long. I could never decide what I wanted to do when I grew up because I could never bear the thought of leaving home. But I'm not afraid anymore, Joe, because love is the only thing that we can carry with us when we go. And I have so much of it, I know it'll make the end easy. But Joe, I think I may be homesick for you, even in heaven.
Nothing can part us, Bethy. Not really, not ever.
It's all right, Joe. It's all right. But Joe, you must take my place for me. Father and Marmee will turn to you. Help them through this.
I will, Bethy. You know I will.
Yes, Joe. I know. Thank you. I feel that I can rest now.
Henceforth, safe across the river, I shall see forevermore a beloved household spirit waiting for me on the shore. Hope and faith, born of my sorrow, guardian angels shall become, and the sister gone before me, by their hands shall lead me home. With Beth's passing came the fulfillment of my promise to her, and each passing day filled her thoughts with brief but special memories of our time with her. Often I awoke at night thinking Beth had called me, but when the sight of her empty bed brought me to tears, Marmee's arms were always there to gather me up, soothe me in their touch and their silent equivalence. Yet each day slowly lost some of its bitter pain as her memory was rendered more serene, and with the turning of the seasons, time brought new life and unexpected change into the March household once more.
Joe! Hannah and I are going over to Meg's to greet the wedding party. Father and John are driving them over straight from the station. I know Amy is eager to see you. Her and Lori missed us all so much at their wedding in Nice. Won't you reconsider and come with us?
I'm all right, Marmee. Someone has to keep the home fires until the entourage arrives here.
I suppose you're right. I just worry so. I especially find my mind wandering to you more and more. Are you all right, Joe? I know how disappointed you were when Aunt March took Amy in your place to Europe, and then, well...
Bethy?
Yes, Bethy. Is it the marriage, Joe?
Oh, no, I'm not upset about that. Things worked out just the way they should have. Just lately I've been feeling a little lonely and sad for the things that can never be the way they were again. Perhaps if Lori had proposed to me now, I might have said yes. Just because lately it means more to me to be loved than it used to.
Oh, Joe, your time will come.
No, Marmee, I don't think I shall ever marry.
You've always known what you've wanted, Joe, and had the courage to follow through with it, too. Your time will come, and it will be right because you've known all along what you've been waiting for.
With the shake, no brothers, Mrs. March, unless you want to miss their arrival.
Oh, yes, Hannah, I'm coming. Joe, dear, put the kettle on, and we'll be back with the newlyweds before you know it.
Come in! Hello? Sure, I heard a knock.
Guess who?
Lori!
Lori, oh my Teddy, it's so good to see you. You're here already? Marmy and Hannah just started over, and where is everyone?
They're still at Meg's. I slipped up because I wanted to see you first, Joe. Joe, there's one thing I want to talk, and then we'll put it away forever.
You don't need to say it, Lori. It was meant to be.
I know that now.
You were so headstrong and certain then.
Well, now things are settled properly. It'll be just like the old times around.
No, the old days can never come back. We aren't playmates anymore. We are man and woman now. But we can be brother and sister and love and help each other for the rest of our lives.
Yes, Joe. Always.
Oh, Amy! Or should I say Mrs. Lawrence? Just look at you!
Blessed is she, and silk from head to foot, and with a new pair of bustle of boots.
Oh, Amy, just look at you! To think that I should ever see the day when you would turn our dear Teddy into a hen-pecked husband.
No welcome home for me, Miss Congeniality.
Of course, Aunt March. It's so good to have you home again.
Not at all, not at all. Look at me, spending all that money on fancy foreign doctors and medicinal baths. For what? To come home on a day like today. Oh, my rheumatism. You know, Europe isn't all what they say it is. It's so foreign. They simply refused to speak to me in English, just babbled on and on. But they understood me. Oh, I have no doubt. Just wouldn't listen to me.
Things are the same all over the world. I'll go get the tea service, ma'am.
Thank you, Hannah.
Now, do tell me all about Europe.
What is there to tell? Just a wretched collection of ancient broken down buildings and filthy, filthy streets.
Charmingly put, Mrs. Lawrence.
Yes, my wife has a quiet way with words.
We're all familiar with it, Mr. Lawrence.
Now, tell us what your plans are now that you two have settled in.
Well, I shouldn't wonder if she drove 6 white horses, ate off gold plates, and wore diamonds every day, since Teddy thinks nothing's too good for her.
Joe, please.
This is for you, Josephine. It's arrived by post.
But I wasn't expecting anything.
Well, open it, Joe, and let's see what it is.
It's my book!
Oh, Joe.
It's from Professor Bear. A friend of mine here in New York has agreed to publish your wonderful novel. He has great hopes for it, and so it is with deepest regards and best wishes that I send you the first copy. I have never read another piece with such simple truth and beauty. Fondly, Fritz Bear.
Joe, your first book.
That's my Joe.
Congratulations.
Yes, how wonderful.
My Beth by Josephine March.
Read for us, Joe.
Oh, no, I couldn't.
Oh,
Come on,
we want to hear what you've written.
Oh, all right.
Read for us.
Dedicated with love to my sister Beth. My mind drifts back to that Christmas Eve so long ago when nothing in our little home seemed wrong and nothing in the world outside seemed right.